Susan standing in for Vanessa today from the Definitive Map team.
Okay, right. Are we ready to go?
Yeah.
Right, welcome everyone. I don't believe we've got any public questions this morning. No.
Nothing's come through now.
So we'll move straight on to the next item, which is minutes of the last meeting, actions and matters arising not covered elsewhere. So the first one is A35 Bridleway Organford issue. Needs to follow up.
Yeah, that was to do with various severance issues. And I believe you were going to follow up with various BHS contacts.
I haven't had anything. So that will remain on file.
Which Bridleway at all put on the 835?
That was one of the issues that we were having, is that there are several, but there are no, indeed, hence they're being severed, and no way in or out really without being on the A35. We've got no problem reports reported, so we've got no one to contact, and Phil was going to put the feelers out within the BHS community.
I was going to say, I've never had a complaint at Organford, but I do have riders who cross the A35 just west of Park Corner. They use that to access.
Okay.
Very often you don't get complaints because nobody can use them to report anything.
Yeah.
This is true, but we do have a couple of relatively vociferous riders.
Right.
But we don't have an Avril Dorby anymore, do we?
So at this stage, no names, no pack drill. So
well, she's not with us anymore, so I don't think she'll mind.
Right. Cool.
Several years back, we discovered that the Highways Agency had a piggy bank to be spent on improving some of these right-of-way crossings. And Tara was supposed to be in touch with the Highways Agency to give them a prioritised list of problem cases. But we never got any response back as to whether, in fact, any money has ever been spent in Dorset or not.
There was Monkey Jump, wasn't there? That was one of them.
Monkey Jump roundabout is the top, is the
yes.
one up here in Dorset.
Yeah.
Mainly it is the longer lengths of the A35, both east and west of Dorset. And we came up with a list of 5 or 6 penalty cases. But so we never got any feedback from Tara as to what came of that.
I've certainly attempted to get in touch with National Highways as well, you know, specifically issues up in North Dorset, admittedly, but have met with little in the way of help. But we can chase that up again.
Organford A35 is Dorset, not Highways.
I believe so, yeah. Yes, it does chop and change.
I've had complaints about bridle path crossing, or not complaints, but you know, sort of, we have to concentrate when we're crossing the A30. It's the A31 that bothers them more than the 35, because to cross from Morden, the 31, and then go on down to the Winterbourne Muston, I suppose.
Yeah.
That bridle path was horribly overgrown. I mean, impassable to horses. I don't know if it is still.
Is there an MT on it? Is there an NMT on it active?
That's the reference for an open job that needs to be done. I can check those out and let you know.
don't know if it was reported and went into the system.
Yeah,
And that was Winterbourne,
mustard.
Muston.
From Sharman's Gate across to Winterbourne Muston, there's a double hedged bridle path that cuts through. I walked it a couple of years ago and it was okay with walking, but I wouldn't want to ride a horse through because you got thorn up there.
Overhanging and overgrown.
And they have changed it a bit.
Diverted.
They did divert it a bit along, so it was slightly safer, but only slightly.
No whereabouts you mean on that one.
Yeah.
I'll
It's worth driving past and having a look.
I'll check out any open jobs that we've got on and any bridleways crossing.
Right. Next one is stats, RG.
Yeah, obviously Russell isn't here today, so he just sends his apologies. So far this year, so from January the 1st to the 25th, yesterday, we'd received 4,072 problem reports, and we've resolved 4,122.
Backlog.
Yeah. So of all of the jobs that have come in ever this year, we've resolved a fair few more. Currently on the system, we've got a total of 2,034 open jobs, 852 of which are for awaiting works, what we call awaiting works, which is things like vegetation clearance, damaged steps, or stiles or gates or anything of that nature, anything of a practical nature. Got 145 further investigations with 678 under investigations. So that's our kind of 2 stages, 670. I can send this list around to you later on. So we've kind of got the 2 stages of the investigation aspects. Obviously, initially, when we go out and have a look, and then we move it to further investigation when we need to do further investigation, and obviously contacting the landowner, etc., etc. We've got 239 jobs on the project work category, where we are kind of sourcing funding to do surfacing works, or it's a bridge awaiting full replacement or something of that nature. And then per region for this year, the central area is recently vacated by Dave Ackley, as you know. That team has completed 1,343 jobs, which is pretty good going, along with everything else that we have to do. The North team have completed 762. The East Dorset team have completed 513. The Purbeck team, based out of Wareham, have completed 464. And the West team have completed 1,040 jobs. So that's a fair lot. You're right.
While you're talking.
Okay, thank you. So I can send these stats around afterwards, and but yeah, a pretty good year, probably helped by the lack of grass growth during the summer months, being able to get out of the right of way network rather than cutting verges. So,
We're making it now, aren't we?
yeah, indeed. Yeah.
You reckon on the 10 or 11-month growing season now?
Well, really, I don't think it's going to slow down much in December. Yeah. But I'll send these stats around to all.
We'll then move on to Vinegar Quarry.
Yeah, so I went out and had a look at the bridleway dedications around Vinegar. They're all there, ready and waiting to go. It just needs the dedication agreement signing by one of the quarry partners, which I know our legal team have been chasing up. The matter is in their hands. But they're lovely bridleways, kind of crisscrossing the site, the part that's been restored. I think, Nikki, your question was more to do with what happened to the common land aspect, wasn't it?
As well.
Yeah.
I mean, you was Open Space Society was very concerned about the bridleway dedication, obviously, but we're also really concerned about the common land, which is like they've got basically land for nothing.
With no return. Yeah.
With no return, nobody would have any idea that the exchange land is
what it is. Yeah.
What it is, or in fact that there has ever been an exchange. I mean, it's not helped by the open access mapping review not having taken place. But you've got to be pretty good looking on the ground to see where the original replacement common is, and working that out. The new area, of course, I've got all the maps for, and it's much easier to find, but there's no signage and there's been no biodiversity improvements that they promised, and the path that they promised hasn't gone in, and the car park that was supposed to take 4 cars, which was a paltry offer, the gate is locked, and so lots of things haven't been done. It's very sad, but we have no memorandum of understanding regarding the common. Sadly, the planning people didn't put it in, so we can appeal to their better judgment, especially since I've heard that they're now wanting to put in another application because their 25-year quarry seems to be running to an end already after, what is it, 10 years, I think, 11 years maybe. And so I'm standing here because I'm going to grab a coffee.
Hopefully, we can hold them to account if they're.
Yes, and I think the next thing is to write a letter pointing out. I mean, you know, all the paperwork is there saying they were going to do these things. The pictures they provided, photographs of this, that, and the other, and so they said they were going to do it, but there's no legally binding.
Legally binding. Okay.
Yeah, and the planning department say nothing to do with us. So, you know. So we're a bit.
Okay. Well, let's maybe get together.
For the original replacement land, I don't think there's anything that I've seen except for emotional something to try and get them to do something, because it is disgraceful.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get together after the meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. As a bridleways involved, could you park a horse box in the 4 spaces if they opened it?
Well, at the moment, no, because they've closed it off. They've allowed the vegetation to grow. They've also put in an earth bund, I think, to inhibit people going from the car park to the southern area that's common.
Okay.
But could you park there and go onto the bridleways? Well, if something was done, in theory, as I say, the Open Space Society asked for a bigger car park, but it wasn't granted. But it was supposed to be for 4 cars. So in theory, yeah, you could get a horse box in there if something was done. But it's going to need a lot of doing.
Okay, let's see what we can do. Paul, you want to come in?
These reopened or reactivated or whatever you bridleways, are they on the definitive map already, or do they need to be put on?
They need to be put on when the agreement has been signed by both parties, yeah, so they're not on there at the moment. All the infrastructure is there and it's been there for quite a while.
You will nudge Vanessa.
She'll be notified.
Yeah.
Because obviously the dedication agreement goes to her and her team, and then they do their own thing with Susan. So.
As the application is 10 years old, am I right in thinking this has taken 10 years to get to this stage?
Probably. Yeah, I don't know for certain.
Mm.
Certainly when I was out there, the timber work on the infrastructure it felt like it was heading towards being 10 years old.
Right. And they've got an application in.
For a dedication agreement.
Well, sorry, a planning application in for further expansion.
Oh, it's expanded.
Sorry?
It's well expanded.
Yeah, I think the expansion has already happened.
Yeah, but you said there was a further planning application coming.
The rumour is that there could be a further application. We don't know yet, but there is a rumour that they're thinking of doing another one. And so it'd be nice to sort all this out before anything else comes.
That could be the stick.
It could be the stick.
It could be the stick.
But if they know that we're on their tail,
Exactly what I'm thinking.
then they're not going to want to put in another application knowing that they've already made
They have
lost all their brownie points.
Yeah. Got it.
I'll follow that up.
Watch for that. Right. North Dorset Trailway.
We had the North Dorset Trailway AGM on Tuesday of this week. Quite well attended. In terms of exactly what this item is, my memory fails me a little. What was it to do with getting
The allotment around Starpay?
That is another thing that we could discuss, definitely. But I think this bit was to do with getting more parts of the North Dorset Trailway shown on the definitive map, because lots of sections aren't at the moment. The Trailways Group has completed a survey with the bits and everything, which obviously we needed. So I just need to find 10 minutes to send that all down to Susan. So.
And Starpay?
The Starpay bit, yeah. It all depends if we're comfortable on saying to people, yes, use this very steep road with a blind bend that is very narrow, bring your horse down to it.
Right.
To my mind.
This is Bush's Lane, isn't it?
This is Bush's Lane, yeah.
If we're told that horses are going down there anyway, we are effectively cutting the corner and making it safer, because they've got to come down from that riding stable, and you're then avoiding the blind bend.
No.
Oh.
No, you have to come past the blind bend to get to the access point, to get down the path and onto the trailway.
Right. Something else.
Ideally, yeah.
There has also been a very long-standing problem at Shillingston Station, where the aspirations of the North Dorset Railway Trust are incompatible with the creation of a decent trailway route through the station. And I haven't heard for some years now where that one has got to. And of course, for these purposes, as I understand it, DC is the landowner.
Correct. So they have extended north under continuing lease agreements with us. So that's heading towards Dorset Newton and actually over Lamb House Bridge, which is the road to Child Oakford, for those of you that know it. And they have rebuilt a very decent trailway to the side. So we're not exactly following the old track bed. It's just off to the side, but it's still suitable width, suitable servicing. They do have aspirations to head south as well, which is a little bit more difficult to achieve because it's in a cutting. But that is something that we are in conversations with that.
At Shillington Station itself, the Railway Trust has aspirations to have a two-line trackway where trains can cross each other. And my recollection is there just simply isn't enough room alongside those two tracks for a trailway without falling off into a little stream that runs alongside this ad.
Well, the River Stour, yes, it did. But yeah, they've kind of tempered their desires, I suppose, and are just looking at a single track. Perhaps in early spring might be a good spot for a site visit. Just so I can kind of fully explain once they've got a few more ducks in the row. But like I say, they are having conversations with us all the time about what they would like to do and how it can be achieved. So yeah,
it's an embryonic heritage railway.
Absolutely, yeah. They have recently changed to being heritage railway status, not just a standing museum. And now they are allowed by Network Rail to actually run on the track they've got and take fee-paying customers. So they are progressing, and they are, as a group, much better than they have ever been. They've got a good committee who are doing everything by the book in terms of getting permissions.
I don't think it's anything to do with Network Rail. It's more likely the ORR.
Yeah, I don't know.
But remember, from our perspective, we want to be convinced that there will be a usable width of trail in the station side. How we get there is, I'm agnostic. That's our interest in this one.
Definitely. And I mean, I live in Shillingston, so I'm not going to let it slide. Yeah.
So what's the distance that they're planning to?
Around roughly 2 miles. Is what they would like.
About parallel with Fiddlefoot, maybe?
No, they're not able to go any further north because of the Countryside Regeneration Trust have bought Beer Marsh Farm.
Yes.
They've said
no,
not Chat Pass. So their only way to expand is heading south, which is then heading down towards Holloway Farm. That direction. I'd say 1.5 to 2 miles is kind of what they would like.
Okay, it's just that I was thinking of another piece of common called Hod Common, is it?
Yeah.
Which is totally inaccessible at the moment.
Yeah.
And Dorset Council actually have grazing rights on there, but
yeah.
I don't know whether you've used them recently.
I think the local farmer does once in a while, or at least he takes grass from it.
He does have sheep on there because I've possibly trespassed.
Oh, okay.
Have a look. I don't think it is trespassing. Once you get onto the common, it's not trespassing, but there is a small gap which is probably less than the width of this room to be able to get from the trailway to the common. And so it was an incredible missed opportunity, but then people wouldn't have known. And so all we need is a set of steps down the bank, the little tiny bridge, over this ditch, and people would then be on a very large piece of common land, which at the moment is totally one of the biggest that Dorset has. Dorset is very poor on commons, as you know, but it does have one particular large piece like this. It has some other big pieces, but this could be easily accessible. Sorry, I just thought I'd add that.
We need to have a conversation with the railway people because it's multi-use, and want to make sure that it's used with a live working railway. That's basically what it will be. Do they have a train at the moment?
They do, yeah. They've got a little Yugoslavian diesel shunter.
There was an item on, I think, BBC Local News the other night with a photograph of this diesel trundling across some bridge that they have proudly reopened.
Yeah. So that's the Lamb House Bridge, which is on the road to Child Oakford.
They had a big article in the Blackmore Vale.
Yeah.
Aspirations for steam.
Absolutely, they've just got to rebuild it first. They've got to put it together. It's a giant Meccano set, as you know.
Take some money.
I'll arrange. People can arrange a site visit and a conversation with their chair and operations manager and stuff.
They do wonderful coffee and cakes.
It would be helpful if we could do that visit and so see it in the context of an update from somebody on where we are on the North Dorset Trailway on an end-to-end basis, and ditto the Gasland Trail, which obviously isn't your personal.
The Castleman isn't, but the North Dorset.
There's always been this ambition to tie them together.
Mm.
Yeah.
Which brings us news.
Sorry, Philip. I'll provide you with an overall railway vision.
Yeah.
Mm. Right. Which brings us on to loaders to Bradpole route.
Yeah, there isn't anything to add to what it says here.
Okay. And on to 10 APPG for outdoor recreation.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you to everyone who helped us put together a response to the APPG. Much to my surprise, there's actually a quote from the Dorset, Bournemouth, Christchurch and Port Joint Local Access Forum. I don't know if anybody read the report following the link was in the agenda, but the quote from us was about access for the less able, basically. But yeah, I was quite pleased with that we actually put a response together and actually got quoted.
Well done. 12.2 withdrawal of access at Bridehead.
I asked Kirsty to circulate the little press report that there was about this, and there's a possibility that the landowners will restore the permissive access there. So that's not due to anything that we did, but it was good news. So that doesn't need to be on the agenda anymore, I don't think.
Okay. 13 Natural England consultations on access rights review.
Yeah,
right.
We discussed these at the last meeting. We didn't actually make any response, but I don't think they've made a decision on Holton Heath. I certainly haven't seen it, but on the Bramblecombe farm, the decision was to leave the original direction unchanged in the way it was originally proposed, and it's been extended for a further 6 years. That was the one where they wanted access banned because of the cattle that they hold there, and they've considered it to be a danger to public safety. But we didn't respond, neither did anybody else, and so they've left it as it is.
Yeah. And Holton Heath?
Don't think they've made a decision.
No decision. Right. Okay, so we're on to item 4. Graham, the LAF recruitment plan.
Yeah. So I emailed out to all saying that the recruitment part of the LAF pages was live. Went live on Wednesday the 12th of this month. I emailed out the link to the webpage to 26 different groups and organisations, both Dorset and nationwide. So far, we've had 3 applications and 3 other contacts just asking questions about what it actually involves. So I would suggest that myself, Philip, Janet and Kirsty all kind of meet in a couple of 3 weeks' time, just have a look at those applications and see whether they're suitable candidates or not, which I'm sure they will.
Closing date on it, Graham?
There isn't. No,
All right.
no. That's kind of my next bullet point. Is I suggest that we leave it open permanently.
Yeah.
Also, after this meeting, we've got somebody from our comms department whose meeting is just at the main steps at the front of County Hall for a bit of a photo op and a bit of a press releasey comms thing, if people are able to join us, just to go and have your photographs taken. It is optional, but it's just a short walk down the hill to a right of way. Hopefully the sun will be shining. But yeah, reasonably pleased with 3 applications so far.
Oh yes, they're keen.
We've got Ramblers, Dorset Ramblers AGM on Saturday, so I will mention it then.
I've sent everybody the link to the web page, so if you know of anybody else who might be interested, then please forward it on to them.
I've got 2 who are interested, but they can't do daytime meetings because they still work.
Are any of your applicants what you might be loosely call landowners?
There's one gentleman from the Countryside Landowners Association.
So that really used
is an aspect
we need to plug.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Okay. So moving on to item 5, the Great Chalk Way. And we've got Doug Landman and Tom Chevalier attending remotely. Good.
Only one of them, actually.
I think, yeah, Tom is online.
Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Laff. And thank you for getting my name right.
Oh, okay.
Well
Right, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Has that shared some slides?
Yeah.
Excellent. That's all right then. Yes, so yeah, thank you for having me. Greetings from the Central Bedfordshire Local Access Forum, which I'm a member of. Sorry I've not been able to join you for more of the meeting, but I'm double booked. I'm meant to be in another meeting as well. So we keep this concise. So yeah, Great Chalk Way. Let me talk about the Great Chalk Way. Great Chalk Way is a family of routes which run from the Dorset coast through to the Norfolk coast. So it crosses right across central England, running along a chalk way broadly. Obviously there's other material on the way, but it was formed by the Friends of the Ridgeway, the Igdal Way Association, the National Trails covers Peddars Way, and the Wessex Ridgeway in terms of Graham has been participating in this. So I suspect most of you like a map. So let's show you a map of where we're talking. We've got the Wessex Ridgeway as the blue line here, joining with the Ridgeway, which is an existing national trail running through the middle of the country. The Igdal Way then joins at Ivinghoe Beacon here, runs through for 100 miles up to Norfolk-Suffolk border. And then the Peddars Way is another national trail, runs up to the coast. So what we did some years ago was come together and say, we've got these existing routes. How could we market those as a coast-to-coast route? And from that, the Great Chalk Way was created. It is not a new route, it is a family of the existing routes. And each of the routes is promoted and named and waymarked and all the rest of it under its existing names, because everybody's familiar with those. All we're doing here in the Great Chalk Way is bringing together those routes as a single coast-to-coast route. Yeah, if we break that down a bit further, the Wessex Ridgeway goes through Dorset and Wiltshire to join up here with the Ridgeway. There are a couple of other routes, these orange ones, which have been created by chap from Tim from the Wiltshire Ramblers, which takes you through Salisbury. Now, that's all good, but why am I talking to you as the Icknield Way? The Icknield Way is another section of this route, running from Buckinghamshire through to the Norfolk-Suffolk border. This is not a national trail, but it is a long-distance route which links between the two existing national trail sections of this. So I'm the chair of the Icknield Way Association, and I've also been involved in the Great Chalk Way. The aims of the Icknield Way Association was to urge the adoption of the Icknield Way as a national trail. So that's one of our objectives as an association. Publicise and promote the use of the route of the way, and it is a multi-user way covering walkers and riders. And the body of informed opinion is because we've got a lot of archaeology along the route, and the founder, this gentleman, was an archaeologist 40 years ago and did a lot of work on things to do with the route. So what we're doing at the moment as an association is seeking, as we've been around for 40 years with this objective of achieving national trail status, but we are pursuing that some more at the moment. With the change of government last year, we had an AGM, our 40th anniversary, where we had an MP attend, and he is actively pursuing the national trail status with government for us to create, so we can try and reinvigorate and give the Icknield Way a greater status, to increase usage, promote tourism, increase revenue for hotels, guest houses, pubs, all along the route. So what we've been working on is a briefing paper for politicians and government. The original Icknield Way Trail, the riders route, was created with Countryside Commission funding. So what we're looking for is support for us to become a national trail to link the two existing ones. But in terms of the Wessex Ridgeway, in terms of the Great Chalk Way, we debated at length whether we should be pushing for national trail status for the whole route, which we'd be keen to see. However, at the moment, I'm not aware that the Wessex Ridgeway has any champions of its own in terms of a friends of or an association to promote it and to help maintain it, which is what effectively the Icknield Way. The Icknield Way is as an association or voluntary effort, obviously working with the highway authorities along the route to promote it. So the Wessex Ridgeway has a very good guide, but that's from 2009. And what I think Great Chalk Way promoters would be keen to see would be some sort of organisation that's helping to promote the Wessex Ridgeway, and that's what we're looking to ask for. So it's whether it would be possible to create a Friends of the Wessex Ridgeway or Wessex Ridgeway Association to mobilise volunteer enthusiasm and energy, so that it can promote the Dorset and Wiltshire sections. And if there was sufficient motivation and whatever, then it would be interesting to try and promote the Great Chalk Way as a coast-to-coast national trail. Obviously, the government's a bit busy with completing the coast-to-coast national trail, but this would be an interesting one to follow on from the coast trail, as a cross-country route that covers a lot of conurbations along the way and will engage with a different audience. But looking at, in terms of the Wiltshire section, the parallel to what we do with the Icknield Way is that we on the ground do waymarking and signage. The guide that's published on your website is from 2009. And as I maintain the Icknield Way guide, we've ended up doing updates to that every year because there are changes in that guidance that change regularly, whether that be new housing, styles turned to gates, trees that have fallen down which were aimed for that tree, but the tree is no longer there, a whole host of things like that. So having that guide regularly updated and refreshed, I would think is a useful thing. The Long Distance Walkers Association have published their own guide to the Dorset and the Wiltshire sections and is published on their website. But continue to promote as part of the Great Chalk Way and ultimately go for National Trail status. My final slide, therefore, is what I'm here to do and try and talk about was for you to support us as the Icknield Way getting National Trail status, but primarily creation of the Friends or an association for the Wessex Ridgeway. And go through the things I put on the previous slide, and then aim for the whole of the Great Chalk Way to be a national trail. So that was my last slide.
Thank you very much, Tom. A very concise and in-depth presentation. Can I just check? You said it's continuous multi-use route, so presumably it's on the definitive map as a continuous bridleway.
There are if I go back to here on the if you focus on this is a bit out of the Dorset Wessex Ridgeway guide. The brown route is a walker's right. One of those routes is the walker's route. I think actually the brown one's the rider's route, which diverges and is coincident for a length along the walker's route, but they diverge. And I'm not familiar with Dorset, so I can't quote it. Graham, I'm sure, could. But in terms of the Icknield Way, there are a number of sections of the route. For example, local to me, we've got the walker's route on top of the hill, on the chalk escarpment, but that is on a definitive footpath, and the bridleway for the rider's route runs along the bottom of the hill, because it wasn't possible to create a bridleway on the top of the hill because of land damage and all the rest of it. So wherever possible, trying to keep them coincident is beneficial, in my opinion, but it doesn't always work for local conditions.
Yeah, it's always helpful if you get them on the same route, on the same definitive route, because then your maintenance costs are accordingly reduced.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, the fact that they...
Sorry, I think the other thing on the Dorset one is I don't think the rider's route comes all the way into Lyme Regis, again, because you're coming into a conurbation and it's more difficult to get equestrian, certainly, running down right to the coast.
Okay.
And that is one of the problem areas on the A35. Trying to ride out of Lyme Regis across the A35 is a no-no at present.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Can I just ask, Graham, your wonderful new Raptorway improvement plan will presumably respond to this in some way, will it?
I can't say for certain, but it will. I can ask for it to be included as a point, definitely.
That would, if it's mentioned in the ROIP, that would give it a great fillip. Yeah, Nicola.
this has been talked about, Tom, for a very long time, hasn't it? I recollect when I was in the Countryside Agency, it was talked about, and so it's lovely to see that it's still on the cards. But have you talked to? My geography is not going to be brilliant either here, but I think that this probably goes through the two national landscapes in Dorset? Janet, you'll be far better at this than me.
I'm sure it must do.
And and I'm wondering if you've also spoken to them about it, because I think that they have huge numbers of volunteers. I was going to talk about later, but and so that might be a starting point to get people on the ground.
I think that's an excellent point. I think that the difficulty I've got is I'm way over in Bedfordshire, don't know the locality, don't know the people, don't know the local organisations, and that's why we need a handful of people or a few people who can champion it and move it forward in having discussions like that and trying to motivate and get things to happen.
Well, I could certainly talk to the Cranbourne Chase people, who, and see where they go, because they are real champions of walking routes. So who knows?
Good, thank you.
So something to be embedded in the ROIP. Talk to the Cranbourne Chase. The champion walking routes. How about equestrian routes to try and get on the same?
Yes, I'm not.
A champion access. Yeah, okay.
So so I'm not sure. Yeah, it must be that first bit, mustn't it, before Sturminster Newton? Yeah.
Where do we cross the A35? At Lyme Regis.
Just north of Lyme, isn't it? Really?
Top.
Somewhere by the roundabout.
Yeah.
I think it comes up somewhere near Dundas Lodge.
Right.
And I can remember going and inspecting it a year or two ago and concluding that to try and get no GG across will be suicidal.
Tom, it's Janet from the Ramblers here. I know that we funded the signage, new signage board about the Wessex, about the Great Chalk Way earlier this year. And so you are in contact with our area footpath secretary about this, but I will make sure that it is on our next area footpath committee agenda to try and see if there's any enthusiasm for somebody within the Ramblers to be more of a champion for this. The trouble is that we're already involved in our own trail across Dorset, which is the Jubilee Trail. So volunteers are a little bit thin on the ground to take on something else, but we're certainly aware of it, and we did do the waymarking survey within the last couple of years. So it is on our agenda, but it's just bodies on the ground to do stuff that's the problem.
Yeah, and likewise, I work for the British Horse Society as an access field officer for the South West, and I think Wendy Bannerman is my colleague who would probably be involved in the more central section of the East Midlands. Your email address is on the presentation that we've sent.
I can provide it.
Send it on to me and we'll have a discussion offline, Tom.
Yeah, Graham's got my contact details, and I suppose if you, it might be efficient to try and have you, Janet, whoever else is interested, and we just have a more specific conversation about it.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So if you want to contact me, and then we'll try and set a meeting, and we can have more specific conversation about it. Would be great, because ultimately it needs some champions to actually work it through, and that's what we'd like to see. Try and help establish that group and get it going, because then it can be self motivated. And as you say, Janet, finding volunteers at the moment is always difficult, but we don't try.
Yeah.
When I wasn't involved in the original setting up of the Wessex Ridgeway. It was a little before my time, really, and it was attempted to set up a friends group, and so all of the promotional material was made, all of the leaflets and volunteer packs were bought and paid for, but no one ever came forward as really wanting to be that champion, like Tom for the Icknield. So we have always struggled in getting over that hurdle, and certainly for us now, the being able to fund something is not going to be an easy sell, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't try, I suppose.
Yeah, I've got the lovely guide that
Absolutely.
It's still available online, isn't it?
It is, yeah. But as Tom says, that's probably a little out of date now, because there have been a few changes over the years. So I've written a note to ask Stuart to review that.
Thank you, Stuart.
It must go through some wonderful archaeology.
Absolutely, yeah. Hamilton Hill, yeah.
And so I wonder if, again, we could look to archaeologists and historians, apart from anything else, to just instead of the usual suspects.
Broaden the field of.
Yeah.
I think on that point, the Ridgeway and the Icknield Way both see ourselves as having it's a walking and it's a riding route, but it's also got a historical background to it, and it's got the fauna and nature sort of aspects to it. So trying to engage all of those participants in it is what we try and do. But yeah, it's always a struggle to get volunteers to do anything. Okay, well, thank you.
Okay, so we get it in the Rowett, and we have an offline meeting with BHS Ramblers and try and progress it along that way as well.
Yes.
Okay.
That'd be great.
Thank you very much indeed, Tom.
Lovely.
Thank you for
thank you. Thank you
coming
for
to
the time.
talk to us.
Yeah, thank you. I'll leave you to the rest of your meeting. Enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye. Right, so we're now on to item number 6, Dorset Council Green Space Management and Maintenance. In the absence of Russell, thank you, Graham.
Yeah, so the Rowett timetable is as written on there. Public consultation on the draft. Sorry, this is on the agenda. You have it. Public consultation on the draft during February of next year. Feedback back by May 26, and the launch should be June, July 26. Is what I've been reliably informed. What will happen? Obviously, various reasons for the need for those deadlines. The last hurdle is obviously getting councillors sign off. Once it's all been written and whatever.
Who's writing it?
Russell Goff and Giles Nicholson. Yeah.
Okay. Are they consulting with anybody in the meantime?
Well, they're writing the draft to then be consented upon, and then you can kind of throw your pence worth in.
Because we have had an issue recently where officers have written plans, routes, such like, and the councillors have not been involved to the last minute, and then it gets a lot of kickback.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
I can ask them to get in touch with you.
or Roland Tar. That's the one.
Okay.
And also, would it be an opportune time for the LAF to have a look at it in its formulation stage?
Well, we did discuss that.
Before we
I did forward that request. But I don't remember receiving a reply.
Right.
Perhaps, if you're all right, maybe to follow that up as a request. Then.
Yeah.
So if it's going out to public consultation on draft in February, don't know whether it's beginning or end, but it must be just about ready by, say, the end of Christmas, mustn't it?
Rightly so.
In that case, a sort of January in which it sort of could be available to stakeholders and council members.
I think that was the general tone of my email saying, Russ, can you speak to them about, can you speak to the LAF members about just having a bit of a look at its formulation stage?
I'm wondering if we have a sort of members group of interested parties who want to sort of sit down and have a look at it, outside a formal LAF meeting, but just get round the table here with the document as it stands and put an input in, so that it's a sort of working partnership, which it should be. And when you come to the point for our next meeting in April, the concrete is beginning to set fairly hard.
Bill, can I suggest that the chairman and I just write again to Russell saying, can the LAF at least see a preliminary version of the draft before February? So at least there's potential for tweaking it a little.
Yes.
And whilst you're at it, it will be useful to double check that whoever is actually doing the drafting has got the LAF's input of 3 or 4 years ago.
It must be virtually ready now.
It's that long ago in history.
Obviously, I know that they have been going back through the comments from previous. So
these were comments on the finished ROIP, were they? Or comments?
These were the comments on the draft.
In Tara's time, we commented on what should be in the next one.
Yeah. Okay. So there is something there too, as a starting point for 10.
There is. Other bits of our update up in the North and Purbeck areas, which obviously my patches, we've built this autumn, or including with contractors, rebuilt 5 new bridges, so we put it right away. One of which is at Beer Regis on the Jubilee Bridge. That was quite a big project. 2 more over the river just outside Wool. Another large project, requiring a lot of funding. A couple of 3 bridges out on the southwest coast path in the Purbeck area, and quite a few others out on the wider right-of-way network. Probably our biggest right-of-way work this winter, though, has been 160 metre section of boardwalk just outside of Wareham. Recycled plastic boardwalk, kind of enabling people to get from the town out to the river via a different route. I'll forward you some photographs of these. The team has replaced 10 stiles with gates over the past few months as well. So we're it's slowly getting out there. And some of them are on obviously on continual routes quite close to villages as well. So with a lot more to come. There's another one or 3 going in out in Hazelbury Bryan in the next month or so.
So are these pedestrian or bridle way gates?
Pedestrian predominantly, yeah. But I think there are some to do in, what was that email from Malcolm Park? Maybe you weren't copied in on that one. Yeah, they're redoing some bridleway gates up just outside Malcolm and Bingham as well.
But they'll all be used. They can all be used by people on mobility scooters. Yeah.
Indeed. Yeah.
Two-way opening.
Yes.
Little yellow blobs on for people with visual impairment.
Yes, but yes, it's all new style ones, all new. So over in the east of the county, Sophie and her team over there have been carrying out works for heathland restoration on lots of their public open spaces and nature reserves in Verwood, Ferndown, and on the edge of up to. This has involved felling quite a lot of trees. It's obviously all sanctioned by Natural England and everybody else that needs to sanction it. They too have been working with landowners to get more gates installed in the Horton and Alderholt area. They've just had a new sang transferred to Dorset Council in Wimborne. It's not yet open to the public.
Well, the public are using it.
But the public are using it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's yet to be kind of built and developed in the way that a sang generally does.
It will always be a bit wet.
It'll always be a bit wet, yeah, sure it will.
Do you discuss sangs before they go through?
In what way?
Well, I was just thinking of the one at Vinegar by the river.
We kind of do now, but haven't necessarily when they are older ones. We still do struggle a bit getting the planning department to take notice of our email saying, please can we have a conversation about this?
Okay.
But hopefully with the comments that we put forward in the new local plan, we'll be able to put ourselves forward as being kind of the first people to speak to in terms of any public open space, any development. And then at least we can have first refusal on whether we get the sangs or not. Because at the moment, it's only over in East Dorset where they are given first refusal. The rest of the county, it's kind of an afterthought. So we don't get involved in the design or anything.
Jade came and spoke to us about it, didn't she? And I asked the question about choice of sangs. But her take on it was that it doesn't matter if they get jolly wet in winter, because the idea is what you want to do is mitigate against heathland use during the bird nesting season. I'm not sure that I totally agree, because I think if people get used to using the sangs in the winter, then they'll stick there in the summer. So if that's their place to walk their dog, then that's their place to walk the dog. But if there's 6 months of the year when they'd have to wear flippers and goggles, they don't get used to it. And so, but anyway, it's where we are at this moment. But I'd hope that future sangs would be not necessarily riverine habitats, but and maybe they would also have dog pools in them, so that people could take their dog for a swim, basically higher up and in a sang. But anyway, that's sort of an aside.
Mandy,
what's our hand up? Comment?
Yeah, I was just going to add to what was being said then. I don't know if everybody's aware of Dudsbury Golf Course, which runs down to the River Stour. That's planned, proposed for housing, for 700 houses at the top end. But the lower end, the planning application is already in for that to be created into a sang, which is part of the Stour Valley Way, of course, running through there. And that is underwater from September right through. So that's just an example of how the land that they're allocating for these sangs is complete floodplain.
floodplain you can't build on. So it is
Yeah.
the logical place to put.
It is
The
unfortunately.
logical place to
Yeah,
have. I mean,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
gonna be empty space.
But anybody local knows that you just don't use that section of the Stour Valley Way during the winter months, really.
Yeah.
Even if it's not actually physically underwater, it's, you know, it's a bog.
One of a few parts.
Continuing with Sophie's update, she's planted a load of native black poplars on a sang in Wimborne, along with Nikki's help, as we have actually up in North Dorset as well. I don't know if you're aware of our wetter sites. One good thing about water is that black poplars like it. And they've also completed a new path alongside the River Stour where dream boats, everybody knows where dream boats are. I personally don't, or down to the tip, and then onwards to the A31 bridge and around the perimeter of the Sang. It's accessible for all, nice smooth surface for wheels, etc. Yeah. Stuart, do you have anything by way of an update?
Yeah, well, so for the most part, the biggest thing really is we've got some of the King Charles III England Coast Path establishment that we're working on from Lyme Regis through to Hive Beach. So that is occupying quite a lot of officer time at the moment to try and get all that in. As we've been told, we've got to get it all spent and done before the end of March. Also sort of coast pathy, we were in receipt of some mitigation money from Natural England to do with where paths have been affected by landslips. So part of that money is being used on S36 in Portland. So the bridge has already been reinstated there. And we are aiming to try and surface, I think it's about 3 kilometres of path through there, where it gets quite wet.
Portland, a lot of the footpaths are de facto bridleways, so
We are factoring that into what surface we're putting down, even if it's legal trespass, but yes.
well, that's the way.
But yes, we are factoring that in. And that also means we are doing a bridge that needs replacing and 40 metres of boardwalk down at Moonfleet, again, which is quite a wet area, and the bridge is on its last legs. We also, over the summer, at Ferry Bridge, the footpath, the coast path was reinstated there, mostly with money from the landowner, but ourselves and the South West Coast Path Association contributed. Unfortunately, it is still moving a bit, which the landowner is attempting to maintain. So we haven't officially moved the coast path back to the coast, because there is still a little bit of potential danger there, but it has been improved and it is passable now, much better than it was anyway, so that is a bonus. In West Dorset, we have built 3 bridges ourselves and have had contractors replace 3 bridges. We managed to get a little bit of extra bridge and structures budget from the bridge and structures team to do one of those. And I'm still waiting for approval from the Environment Agency for another one that I'd like to do down in Lyme Regis, the Hay Lane. Well, we call it the Hay Lane Bridge. It's not really on Hay Lane, but it leads up to Hay Lane. But they've promised me the permission or the permit by the 30th of November, but I understand from an email they sent me the other day that they are horrendously understaffed. They've made a terrible error of centralising all of their flood risk approvals, and it's taking a lot longer to get it done than they thought it would. Let's hope it's teething problems. In Central, 4 bridges have been put in by contractors. I think 2 of them might have been in quite a similar place in Broadmain, I think. Sorry, I've sort of taken over Central, so I'm not that familiar with that area. We've been involved with the Tinkleton Gates project, which was partly funded by the Ramblers to install gates to replace stiles. So I think 6 footpath gates went in there. We in West have done 1 footpath gate in Winterbourne Abbas to replace a stile. 2 bridleway gates, which were really renewals have gone in up in Trent, although the landowner is looking to improve all access across the estate. So hopefully we will get some more gates in there of both footpath and bridleways. I've been made aware that Buckland Newton actually as a parish have put in an application to the FIPL fund, and I think it has been funded to replace a lot of stiles with gates in Buckland Newton parish. So that's quite a good model. They've actually drawn up a document that they're hoping to spread around parish councils. That means they might be able to follow suit and secure their own funding to make improvements like that across their rights of way network. And then really just our site at Blackdown, we have got cows back up there finally, which is good news for the conservation of the site. We've also been doing a lot of work with UCAN volunteers and our own staff, continuing to clear rhododendron through the site. So is starting to, and we've done a lot of work to knock back the path so they are more accessible. So it is looking a lot better as a site.
Do you do West Stanford? Just to
well, yes, I guess so.
I'll have a chat with you about some gate handles there offline. But I'm very pleased we're doing all these bridges because they were going to be a problem issue. I remember that we were going to do 4 a year for the next 4 years. We had about 96 that were sort of falling over a cliff. So very clearly some money's been found or...
Yeah, I mean, budget-wise, we have always had around about £160,000 per year, which equates probably to 20 or somewhere between 20 and 25 bridges across the county.
Really? It depends on the length,
but it depends on the size and
all the ones in West really are
big
6 to 7 meters plus.
Yeah,
and they're talking 15 to 20 grand a piece. So
yeah,
then you've got about 8 bridges a year.
Yeah, indeed.
So,
but we have been able to get some extra funding at least for the next 12 to 18 months. Thereabouts next year, isn't it? To kind of ramp it up a bit more.
Good news. Good news.
So yeah, so I think we're all kind of madly surveying, putting together.
And I think, you know, taking some of the smaller ones back in house to
Yes,
save costs has
indeed. Yeah.
smooth, you know, it's helped to get more done basically.
Yeah.
But
and probably the last bit of news from our team is that Dave Ackley's replacement has been interviewed for, and Claire, her name escapes me for the moment.
Yeah, O'Reilly,
that's it. Is due to be starting in February.
I think so.
So then the senior ranger team will be back up to 4 rather than 3, but we'll never get back up to having 5.
Never say never.
Yes.
Paul, you ought to come in.
Obviously, replacing a lot of these broken down styles is good news. There is a slight complication in that I think you will find in quite a few cases the style is itemised in the definitive map statement as a waymark on defining the route. So logically, somebody ought to be updating the definitive map statement. Does anybody actually have any ambitions to do that?
Yes and no. I suppose it's probably the best answer. Yes, because specifically when landowners ask us about applying through section 147, is that right? Forget numbers. Yeah. To apply for a gate, then yes, we do then send that down to the definitive map team, the application form with our consent to change. So then that does. I guess there's a possibility that when we do it in-house, that process isn't necessarily done.
Yeah.
But the infrastructure on Seaside is changed with a new photograph of the gate. So we would be able to go back through time and say, so this was changed from a SAL to a gate on the 26th of November 2025, for example.
There's been a long running commitment's not quite the right word, but basically the government has for many years had an aspiration that your residents should be able to go in online to your definitive map statement. And I don't think we've ever really succeeded in making that happen around here. But it is just a point that the definitive map statement is, potentially a useful document, and therefore it does need keeping up to date.
Indeed, yeah. I believe you can see parts of the statement. Perhaps Susan could answer that question. I've certainly seen descriptions of certain footpaths that I've looked at when I've been closing one for a temporary closure, things like that. Whether it's true of every single footpath, because I know from the original statement, some of the descriptions were pretty poor. Susan?
There isn't a facility to access the statements for the public unless they get in touch with us, and obviously yes, we will then offer the information they're looking for. But you're right, online we haven't got that available. So on Dorset Explorer there was a discussion quite a while ago in the team as to why that might be the case still, and I don't remember the outcome, but it's a really interesting point that's been raised about styles being replaced with gates and potential impact on what the statement's recorded. So I'm going to go back to Ness with that and just say, what mechanism could there be where projects are taking place and it may impact on the recording of the statement for that particular route?
Right, that brings that section very neatly to a close. We're almost on time. So if we come back at 11:35 and then head into the ECP report with Pippa Elias. So it's about 12 minutes.
Go out of there. Yes. They're up there somewhere.
Okay.
Good intention.
Excellent.
But not well executed.
Yes.
Now went round, and then I tried County Hall and went back. And then in the end, I went to Smithfield.
I know it's quite things, but they do catch horses right.
Places, yeah.
They all look like
It's hard institute, but place.
they are shocking, but there's not that much. Yes, I'm sorry.
You've got a page.
Go down.
I've got a fair one, yeah.
And somehow deal with it.
That's something cool.
Yeah.
Throwing it to you.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We did give me all the yeah.
All right, okay. Yes, maybe if you send me some more detail.
Really struggling or anything. Being able to help during this.
So when you come down here.
There's anyone here.
I think
Coming on, yeah.
when we came in,
Swirl on.
we thought we'd be here,
Very.
but we've booked it there. Most of them were empty. Neither of us had a coffee or anything like that. It's just like, oh, Don Burger sisters, they were both booked.
Yeah.
You think that's not
That's strange, isn't it? Yeah. And I know that the planning department seems to block book rooms for kind of weeks on end, just in case they have an inquiry.
But they're taking time.
Yeah.
Because they say there aren't rooms here big enough for them.
Yeah. I don't know, but that is an issue. Which is why we've already got the next meeting booked in for April.
If you go up West Wing, you don't see anybody in their desks.
No. It is a bit of a ghost town.
Let's go to the boardroom, that's never booked.
Yeah, I don't know if it's bookable. Yeah, I don't know. I'll ask Claire.
Mind you, everything we get lost on the way. It's the most amazing, weird place to get to. But no, I've got two things in my village shop. I can send you an email about.
Okay, you did send me an email about a week or so back, which I don't think I've actually replied to.
We want to put in for a gate.
Okay.
Where there's the Yankee gate at the moment, which rips your hands apart.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes.
We looked at it ages ago when
We did.
I dragged you out.
We did.
And the parish councillor said, well, if nobody else will do it, we'll pay for it.
Right.
I got permissions from the landowner.
Oh, good.
Everybody. That's all dealt with. It's just like, sorry. Okay. And also our bottom bridge is getting, apparently is getting scary. It doesn't scare me, but some people do.
Right.
But yes, I've got 2 volunteers looking at swimming tight in the bridge. And they're keen to do it. Oh, it's like a bit odd.
How is the knotweed?
It hasn't changed. It hasn't increased, but it hasn't gone.
You can't spray it this year, but
It's still there.
yeah. Hopefully a few more years.
Regenerated, but they do.
Yeah.
Should have done.
We'll give it a blast again next spring.
But
And yes, it's now caused a bit of a stink down further where another bridge has gone out. So,
the reaming of the life path between us and
why can't we do this?
Are you doing up
That
to
one.
horse spec? Because what?
because the roads aren't getting any quieter.
Other applications for the
I've just sent something to
within the historic evidence of
Sue Ackland,
who
the Maya Force Rider at Bloxworth. If she knows of any crossrings that don't work with her,
Yeah.
The memo says it should be
Oh, yes, indeed. I do need to get back to, because she has asked me to look at the gates at the very end of
No, I must admit.
yeah, just beyond the church.
Oh, yeah.
I need to go back. I've quite from start to finish. I just need to speak to her about it.
I think certainly.
but that's gives a Maya Force woman for this end of the county.
Yeah.
West,
Yeah.
the east.
They would probably do it. Should
And she's trying to get us to other things now, so she.
Well, yeah.
What we need to do. Get on. Mario.
There's your tree, Graham.
Your tree.
Oh, thank you. Brilliant.
a Christmas tree in the making.
This is one of the black poplars.
Oh, all right.
Mulch mat and bamboos.
Yes. You know that black poplar, don't you? More or less than you had before.
No, not really. No, I don't. I'll plead it. I'll plead back.
Only past.
It's various native, what they call it, in the tree, so it's a bit everybody used to.
Yeah. Obviously costs have increased.
7,000.
So it still doesn't go that far.
So, yes, so that's
yeah, so
makes.
to get that
if
doubled
you
to
look at
160.
well, like Dorset, we probably, we haven't found them all, but we might have more than that.
Structures team are struggling to spend their money.
And so,
and
what the road.
Correct, yeah.
I know I'm going to walk straight into this one, but how do you tell a black?
And then because
From a white poplar, different leaf shape, from a Lombardy poplar, different shape, and from a carton different shape.
it's quite odd.
Good horses, those people. Sorry, I meant the one on the.
And
Right,
they have
an A35 very promptly after the.
Poplars down.
Yeah, within a team.
Yeah, it's got reported one week and it got
Literally fall over.
Oh.
They always
Get the bridge, it's got within 24 hours.
Well, what horse put its foot through the slats, you just go. Somebody was out and fenced it, you know.
Yeah, so this.
And they are a refined species.
I think we've only got
I don't know how many there are in Devon. I don't
this
think
year
many.
and
I'm taking some trees down to give it
so
to.
that
Oh, yeah.
250
Yeah. What's the situation with surfacing of bridle ways that are green lanes that aren't really strictly byways or whatever they're called?
So an unclassified county road.
So that's.
Also within the highways.
I don't think it is. I think it's
an EMR.
always been a bridle path. We've looked. Hector's Lane.
Its parent has been genetically.
Want to make sure it is a black poplar.
Honestly, in.
So we know which clone,
And that's unusual.
Where
Its parent was a seedling.
Where are we? There's Morden. Okay.
it's hardly.
Go across to, it's there in green. No, on the way to where Whitefields. Whitefields in the middle, there, right in the middle.
Oh, that.
So it's very
Yeah,
hard to.
Whitefields. And there's the green bridle path, which is Hector's Lane.
This one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is the one that goes down and then it crosses the A35.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the.
The surface at the top
which is the western.
is not too bad till you get past the houses, then you get to the corner.
No.
And that next stretch, the tractors have been going,
Fortnight through.
Yeah.
they've been crossing there.
Okay.
And the chute used to use it, and it is,
Norfolk, Suffolk.
it's dangerous to run a horse down.
Okay.
Horse riders are beginning to avoid it because it's so
Right.
potholey that you could easily break the leg. It's getting almost as bad as,
Then it was like
They're not straight.
nice bird.
Okay.
you know, where it's like that, and then you've got the occasional ramble. Well, that was so it's very, very muddy and given way. So the shooter cut it. What they did, we went plane. We went and tipped a whole lot of gravel in there, which of course is
Lots of ratting we died.
but it is pretty dodgy slap that doesn't.
Yeah, and then that's.
Well, I mean, here, say.
But who's responsible? You know, it's the floor.
Responsible for the surface.
Yeah. Oh, you are. Okay.
But it is obvious who's.
Well, they don't use it now, but it's sometimes.
Yeah.
You'll go, yeah.
It's for harvesting to make
Which is what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're resistant to fire.
But it.
The tractors crossed, they've gone up and down. They can't go down. They used to, but it's grown in, it's rotted, so they stopped using it about
the wood and try to burn it.
12 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. My husband used to use it, then said this
Yeah, it will take a long time to get going.
And then it started going.
It might be a very slow burn.
I don't know. I've not tried it. If there's some, it's
some around.
If it's the
I
site.
always think
Yeah.
popular
We might
wine.
have to try it.
Definitely do.
It's great, yeah. Friends like this.
Need to check it over and sign
Got
up.
a big
Celsius, that is not.
no.
Smells like anything. It takes forever to get going.
I mean, I've sort of given up on footpaths and things because it only seems.
It was
I've got two yellow
January today.
I'm doing that.
And we have had a few jobs. It's roughly on this.
And most of the time.
See where there's a little, but they're a great micro habitat. So before we drain the wetlands,
It's this corner where you get there, down to where that field hedge comes in.
rivers, which make their own.
Beyond there is a bit overgrown, but nothing that's stripped. I don't know if it's on that stretch. The chute used to go up there and
not much, but
well suited to
sort of doing,
you know, the buttons are all sort of matching.
Oh, really? Well, they started to drain. So, because I didn't think it was until
you just
the
need
17th, 18th century, but it wasn't. Certainly the sunset level.
start discussing that before people
During
I have no real option but to drain it down.
putting in them.
It was very, very wet.
Yes, it was very wet. But some of the, lots of the other wetland, and it must be if you went because it was just reeds, wasn't it?
Mm.
But there's in between.
I never realised that.
Oh. I mean,
Did you use the hall?
Yeah, because
I did have a there was
I don't know about the other side.
That's what we're
But I'm setting my new keen volunteer
Soil. What do you think the predominant
past tree, Belmay. I've given up trying.
What company was it?
What just get it right with.
those.
But also,
Where did you last see small
styles that are
gone?
absolutely not
And I think
displayed.
that's because
As in, it's too high to get onto the first band.
that's where the line is. So they would have been,
You know, it's like the bottom step was like there.
Right.
How do I do this? Bearing in mind my head.
from Suffolk.
Oh, they're very much ours to speak to the landowners to say your style is
They've been in the
Well,
wetlands.
the answer is, of course, you can use it if you think.
Indeed, yeah, no problem for me, sir.
They're the west side.
So should I take it up with the landowner first?
Absolutely, I mean, it is for their beach infrastructure that they are responsible for. They but obviously have a responsibility to chase them up.
So Druid means open.
I've got to see the next.
And obviously we need to go out
Yeah.
to the place a hell of a lot of time.
More often than not, we
More often than not, we actually go.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
It would have been the landowners to chase it first.
It's a real swearing that getting the wheelchair up and down a gangway.
We know 20th century Druids ain't Druids at all.
No, they're not.
You have a new forester.
It's
Very keen for no one to walk in the forest.
not a good option for them.
Overgrow on the poor soil. I'm sure they'd have been on the
Yeah.
wacky.
Or
That would be
Okay, yeah, and they say that the more riverine places.
Okay. That's another one to raise with Julian.
So.
Oh, yeah.
We got rid of it. There aren't many guys. There's certainly no what of it. So all of the large mammals.
Doesn't want wear
yes, my direction.
Are you a right to way person or a councillor person?
Just started with.
Yes, but in what role?
Yeah.
The Roswell.
Man wanted to have lived near his food supply.
You weren't
Yeah.
affected by the fire at Brewery Square, were you?
They figured
You're sort of around Pascal Carver
Which
Trail.
one?
Well, there was a fight near the station, facing the station.
Oh, yes.
You would not have.
Trail, Continental Causeway Trail.
well, 10,000 years.
They
In my
have got people moved back.
They started farming the fertile residents.
So that the trailways used to, well, obviously must have been one.
It's on
It's now like
flat. A balcony fire or something.
Yes, you just hang on a minute.
The main front of that.
But you move the fence and it's just chuck a little rubbish over there. Makes it.
Fine.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of transhumance with humans.
Get them dedicated training. If you've got garden waste, how about doing it this way? Near your flat.
You know, I just thought,
Do not move the fence. Build a dead veg.
let's start walking that direction because they seem to be making noise over there. So it's more.
Well,
Don't they land the
Moved in and out.
Of the village that
Highway.
I dodged is that station.
Well,
There has
35, I've got to sit down and
lots of flats went up. One of
You know,
which
the it's a bit of a rush
to
sometimes.
a triangular.
I'm absolutely.
Boy.
You have to start early.
It took me longer to get to the other.
And you only did this.
This is a day.
Yeah.
Okay,
In
we're
one.
missing Graham. Oh, Graham.
Just nip out. 17, I think.
Should we start with that, Graham?
He'll be back.
Okay, so straight away on to Pip.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning, Pip. We're just waiting for Graham to appear, and he's stuck in the room. So, on with your report.
Oh, excellent. All right. Well, sorry. Okay, right. Okay. Well, here we go then. Right. Well, so good morning, everybody, and welcome to the BCP Rights Away update for November 2025. So let's have a look at the latest news. Actually, yeah, we've got the news listed here. But actually, the most important bit of news isn't even written on there. In fact, she's sat in the room with you. It's Kirsty Tyre, who started with us in August and is now doing great things with Rights Away and getting integrated into both definitive map work and the operational matters on the ground. So thank you and well done, Kirsty, on your great start with us. Some of the things that Kirsty and I have been looking at together over the last few weeks include the following. So we have the Camford School section 119B diversion. We have Sandbanks Path controversies, as ever. The registration of the Happy Bottom DMMO. Progress on the King Charles III England Coast Path. Signage. Just a little issue, really, which I think has some broader implications for how we think about development. It's an unprotected path closure at the Tesco in Iford. And then we'll just quickly look at a couple of items from our capital programme for the rest of this financial year and then 2026, 2027. So Camford School, you'll be familiar with this one actually from the last time. We looked at this a few years ago and I probably mentioned it at the last meeting. I mean, all this really happened here is that they previously attempted to divert this public footpath, part of the Stour Valley Way, and they were previously doing that under Section 119 of the Highways Act 1980. This time they are trying again because that previous order was set aside. So this one's under 119B, which is a little bit different because it's a special diversion order for the purpose of the prevention of crime or antisocial behaviour, specifically affecting schools. So this is a very, very specific instrument purely for any school which is claiming to be affected by crime and antisocial behaviour linked with the public footpath. So Camford School regularly complain about people wandering off the path here, even though there's a fair amount of signage there. People will walk off, and because it's quite an attractive building, you can see it from the path. People go off and take themselves for a little tour, and obviously that's a little bit distressing the school. Plus, they have some other problems to do with gangs of youths misusing their sports facilities, and then dog walkers fouling their pitches and all the rest of it. So all that's happened really is that we've done our consultation, received a bit of objection to it, but it seems as though they've got a reasoned argument. So really is something that should be going to the planning inspectorate for their opinion on it. So yeah, the order's out there, and it's been advertised. So now we're just going to go back to the objectors, I think, and Camford are preparing a statement to address some of the issues that people have raised with us. So in the news, you may have seen, depending on which particular paper you prefer, whether it's the Sun, the Telegraph, the Daily Mail, or indeed the BBC, sandbanks once again in the press with regard to a wooden fence which has been erected. People are upset because it appears to obstruct a bit of land that they have had access to historically. But the thing is, it's actually fairly well defined that the public right of way, as diverted, is only between this wall and this fence. So yeah, in fact, the existing public right of way was a diversion from its previous alignment at the Royal Motor Yacht Club before the installation of their marina. It does provide access into the water, and the path which runs partially parallel to it only provides access up to this newly installed fence. The matter of a claim beyond this now fenced off area was tested at public inquiry. And going back, I went to this one as in 2013, I think, around about then. It was found that the former use of a boatyard beyond this obstructed user to the extent that rights had not arisen. But the question remains, if people can get onto the foreshore, so out between high water and low water, do they have a right of access there? Well, it's never actually been thoroughly tested in law, but the general idea is that although most foreshore is owned by the Crown, some stretches, such as this one, not strictly beyond this path here, but from the fence and going on towards this direction, it can be owned privately. So there is no clear right of access to the public to then sort of go towards the end of this path and then to sort of whip round into the water immediately on the edge there. So for now, we can only advise the public that where they can and can't go within this path. So that is this path, and then the foreshore and the water at the terminus of the path, but not the area of foreshore to the right of the end of this wooden fence. So to that end, we tried creating this sort of sign just to advise people better as to where they can and can't go in the stripy lines. But actually, we still get occasional queries from members of the public who have seen this path, which really goes to show there's still a bit of a gap in sort of map reading skills between sort of ourselves as access professionals and members of the public who sometimes find stuff like this quite difficult to interpret. So maybe we need to find a better way to visually communicate this idea somehow. So next, more press. This time it is Happy Bottom. So got a bit of press here in the Echo and the Daily Mail regarding the blocking of a path over here. So all that's happened is that some land has changed hands. Barbed wire fences have been mounted where a path was previously accessible, which has triggered the submission of a DMMO claim. So you can see the plan view here, and we can see immediately this big thick blue line is in fact the BCP Dorset Council boundary. So This is now a joint concern of the neighbouring surveying authorities. And so we've had the delight of corresponding and finally meeting with Susan Phillips, where we had a good look around the application site together to figure out exactly what was being applied for. There's plenty of investigation still to be done, not least because there's some variance with regard to how these lines have been drawn on this plan. Some of them sort of curve round much more earlier, and we have other paths being drawn in which sort of trail off this side. So there's plenty of work to be done there to try and make it a sensible application. But we're going to be corresponding with Sue and Dorset a lot more about this one. So a little item on just the King Charles III England Coast Path. Various stages of completion in our area, still not all the way there, but it is Fiona Anderson, who works within BCP and who deals with various special projects along the coast. Fiona Anderson has been looking at all of the signage to go along here. She very kindly corresponded with us, and we talked to her about the style of the signs, the waymarkers to go in. Might seem sort of fairly obvious as to what the designs might be, but in fact there doesn't appear to be any obvious standard around the England Coast Path. We had a look around, and it seems as though each authority have been sort of left to their own devices to come up with some kind of a sensible design. So you won't see anything extraordinary here, but we've spoken with Fiona about sort of where we hope to have the signs and how they sort of sit in relation to the existing public rights of way signage. Some authorities have sort of gone for a different idea here, where they would have sort of a yellow arrow for their public footpath signage, where it also crosses with or runs in perfect alignment with the King Charles III England Coast Path. They sort of gone with the yellow arrow where you have both of these, but we thought it was a little bit maybe ambiguous. I don't think anybody looking at this sort of yellow arrow design from the very beginning, without having had this conversation to begin with, would necessarily sort of immediately know as to what that would mean. So we sort of neglected to have these yellow arrows. No other authorities have gone for them, but we're going to keep all of our signage as the white arrow. It's not a big deal at all, but it's just it's about the conversation really about how it's not really standardized signage across the various authorities, and so we sort of found that to be surprising. We were really hoping that this would be something which would be sort of handed down maybe and dictated, but no, we're looking into sort of that signage design and trying to make it sensible. So the next thing, we just had a small query actually. It is regarding pedestrian access in the Iford area, with a particular focus on Riverside Avenue. It appears there was once an informal shortcut just through here, this yellow arrow, which is actually opened up about, I think it's 2020, 2021. They decided to create this little access so that people could, in fact, walk through from these offices to go and get their lunch from Tesco. The landlord has closed it off. I think they're saying that it's because the local authority are saying they cannot accept responsibility for anything which would happen. And of course, there's a nonsense. I don't think anybody has been consulted on that. They, of course, have probably just taken it upon themselves to close this off. No doubt because there's something to do with insurance or something. It's going to be something to do with that. But the problem is that this would create unwanted additional vehicle movements along the already quite busy Castle Lane East Hospital Junction. And we just don't like this. We don't like it when these paths get closed off. principally because we're always trying to create sort of better pedestrian permeability within these developments. And really, in order to sort of fully understand how this slow-moving sort of failure of an area has happened, you sort of have to go back in time. Me and Kirsty were sort of asking ourselves, well, what's happened here, and why is this such a terrible place? I mean, you go back to the 70s and have a look, and this used to be just a field. It all starts somewhere, and the problem really is with the development planning process that, you know, you get these areas just sort of being marked out and saying, you know, we're going to develop here, and then you'll get something like, you know, maybe a supermarket sort of starting it off, and then other things sort of begin to sort of build around it in terms of like sort of office space and all the rest of it. But again, there is never sort of the mentality within businesses to really look into how they relate to their neighbours in terms of pedestrian access. In fact, they've become more and more difficult over time, with paths being closed off, and of course the signage sort of ruining any sort of claims that we might want to make, you know, as of right. So, you know, we're looking at this situation, and we're sort of thinking, well, we want to have these paths being put in somehow. And I know it's been a really sticky point with development planning and this new site which is going in here, which is going to be one of these lock storage places. And we're sort of asking ourselves as to whether we can have maybe a role in here, as to whether, you know, could a creation order or something be used. But it's frustrating really that we only have sort of very limited tools to do anything about this from a public rights of way perspective. And it's just about thinking about the whole development planning process. You know, how did we end up getting into this situation, and how do we stop it from happening in the future? Is, you know, the development planning process adequate today to stop this when we're sort of earmarking sites for new supermarkets or whatever? Are we actually thinking sufficiently strategically? Because, you know, how would you do it? You look at a empty field like this and start drawing on lines for where the paths go. I don't know whether people are sort of brave enough within the development planning process to start doing stuff like that. But I think where we have sort of tried to get a foot in the door with some of this, it seems to scare off developers, and that's the problem really. Is that being brave enough to really get in there and say that we want or we demand better pedestrian permeability between these sites, whilst actually keeping the development sites viable. It's just a continuing sort of conflict, and I just hope that we can get better outcomes compared to this particular site, because people do miss it, and it does cause problems. So, yeah, we need to look into this as to whether we can at least try and get this little path back, and maybe we can do something here. I don't know. We're just looking at it now.
Pip, I take it that Tesco's is not 20 years old there. You said it was developed from the 1970s, but I'm just wondering if you can get user evidence claims from 20 years ago.
Yeah, we've at least looked into this one, and we tried our best to. We got some site notices up all around here, and we also approached the hospital, had emails going all around, and we just couldn't muster up the evidence to at least get this link in even. So we don't have anything. We don't have any user as of right. As far as we can tell, we really need to probably use creation orders to do anything around here, I think. Yeah, it's a tricky one. We'd love to have that user evidence. Okay, so just quickly then, the capital program. We just have, let's see, focusing some capital on improving, this is public footpath K5, just an off-road path that has a valuable and popular connection between Bournemouth School over here. There's also Bishop of Winchester Academy. So this will largely consist of surfacing works and signage will benefit local school pupils in this area as they walk to either of these schools around here when it's very muddy around there. And then we are taking sort of an area-wide approach with Burton and Winkton. Kirsty has been very diligently out in this area, giving a full survey, photographic, making notes of all of the problems around here, and there are plenty of problems. There's more than these little icons, that's for sure. You could probably double that. So there's loads of stuff out here. There's, you know, broken stiles down here. We need a new gate here. We need loads of signage, surfacing. Some of it's just maintenance stuff. Some of it might even require some diversion work, but just by taking the whole area, we're just going to try and sort of rip through the more obvious things and just bring the whole area sort of up to standard as much as we can, so that when people are sort of visiting the area, you know, they can complete their little walks which they want to do through here, which they sometimes email us about. So that's what we're going to be doing there. And so that's pretty much it for this update.
Thank you very much. Any questions, anyone? Otherwise, yes, thanks.
I was just wondering what links, I mean, it's difficult with an established situation, but what links do the rights of way team have with the planners? Because I was going to say that sure these days when we hold we must toughen up our section 106 agreements, and that becomes a requirement for a planning application and part of the government push out, I don't know about BCP, but in Dorset, push for connectivity between facilities so as to cut down on car use. So I would have thought an early talk to the planners to say this ought to go into the 106 agreement. I mean, it doesn't help here, but are those links established?
They are with us, and certainly the planners do take stuff like that into account in linking one development to another. Whether anything can be done with this historical issue, I would doubt. But it's certainly better now. I suppose the problem is, you know, each of those areas there is an individual planning application, and they're just solely focusing on that bit. They're not necessarily thinking about.
They're not thinking about area.
No. But that is what the planners should be doing, and creating those potential ways out, even if, you know, the bit in the bottom corner hasn't been built out yet.
No, I was going to say it.
Just knowing the holistic.
Dorset Planning Committee, we're pushing very hard on that now, because it's the only way you escape an inspector. You know, if things go to appeal, the inspector's just allowing it. It was in the 106 agreement, so why haven't you done it?
Right. Well, yes, Paul.
Good afternoon, Philip. I have this recollection that when you revised your Ratsway Improvement Plan a few years back, you included in it this very clever idea of getting someone sent out to walk your rights of way with one of these 360-degree cameras, so that in principle your residents could walk the route in their armchair to see what they're up against before deciding whether or not to actually tackle it physically. Has any progress been made on that?
Yes, I have. So I'm supposed to be that person. So we have a person. We have got the camera. We're just sort of preparing now how we get the other bits of equipment to all fit together and work, so we can start getting out doing that. But yes, that's certainly still the plan, and we're making steps towards getting started with that.
Well, I'll be happy to road test it.
Yes, we'll keep you posted. Don't you worry.
Come and do our 3,000 blocks.
If you speak to me, Kirsty, maybe the BHS can help you with doing some bridleways as well, which will save your footwear.
Yes. I will be in touch as well.
Right. Any further comments? Otherwise, I'll thank you very much indeed, Philip, and we'll see you at the next meeting in April. And I will move on to item number 8, which is the legal record team So Vanessa, are you there?
No, Susan.
Oh, sorry, Susan, I beg your apologies.
Right. Just bear with me. I'm clearly not Ness, and I'm not very tech savvy, so I will bear with my anxiety levels as I try and introduce PowerPoint. So pause whilst I just get the tech working, I hope.
Yep, we've got you.
So that's it. My first question is, can you see a slide that says definitive map team update? Oh, that's an exciting start for me, everybody. Let's hope the content matches my level of excitement. So just a brief update with the few bits that are happening in the team, if the slide wants to catch up. Lovely. Okay, so we've had, since the last meeting, there have been 2 confirmed modification orders, and one at Turnworth. It's a Bridle Way 8, which was upgraded and to be a restricted byway, and then also Staunton Corndall, a drafting error correction to record the full length of Bridleway 33. So that's now totally available following correction to the drafting error. And the public path orders, 2 confirmations there, one in Stoke Abbott, footpath 13, and also in Compton Abbas, footpath 11, across the airfield there. That had a little bit of news coverage at the time, but that's all gone through now. And so where we're standing with modification orders, again, you'll appreciate, I don't know how much change this is for everybody from the previous meeting, but we've got 239 modification order cases that have yet to be started. But this does include the 214 applications from the BHS. So in real terms, we've got 25 on the active waiting list. Of our cases, we've got 48 in progress. This includes those that are with or are waiting to go to PINs. So you can see we've got 2 cases with PINs, one of those in Chiddock, Mill Lane, which is going to go to public inquiry next year, but the date and venue have yet to be confirmed. That was a relatively recent notification to us of that. So we're still waiting for further detail. And the second case with PINs is a footpath on Portland at Weston, with no further updates on where that's at from a PINs point of view, only that it's with them. We've got 28 of the active cases are in a queue waiting to be submitted to PINs. And we've managed to get 9 of these across to our legal team. So we've just slow progress there, but progress of sorts is being made. And so our public path orders, we've got, as it says, we've got 9 cases not started, 39 are in progress. And one of these is sitting with PINs, as it says there, at Bempster, at Chantry Farm. There has been an increase in the number of applications received. So we've got, of the 39 cases in progress, we've got 14 Town and Country Planning Act applications. We have 1 rail crossing and 1 special order. The rate of increase, just to put a few numbers to it, we've received 5 Town and Country Planning Act applications since the last meeting in July, and this is compared to 3 in the last 12 months. So from July 24 to July 25, we had 3 in that year, and so having received 5 in the last few months, you can see quite an increase. So that's news on the PPOs as well. So there's a little bit of a rattle through, but hopefully capturing the main information there. And so I end with any questions from anybody.
You mentioned about the VHS applications. You seem to infer that those weren't being looked at.
So I'm just going to end the come on camera so you can see me. So that's the reason being is the so was in relation to the DMMO applications, Philip, sorry.
Yes. Is
yes.
it because they haven't served notice on the landowner?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it's based on our agreed priority schedule. So with those that we have got given greater priority are those who have served landowner notifications.
Okay. Right. Okay. And the issue of the footpath at Weston, what's the background for that at Portland?
It received objections at the time, so it's a modest straight A to B section across a playing field, objections to the existence of public rights. So that's just that's it's been sitting in our PINS queue for quite some time. It's one of the there's an age about a lot of them. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll take Chris and then Paul.
Could you let the last members know when we're public inquiries being held, please, so that we can come along and see it happening?
Certainly, yes. I'll pass it on to Vanessa for an update for that public inquiry date. Yeah.
Okay.
Paul?
And it made the point earlier on that on Portland there is, I think, a bridleway, and that therefore de facto a substantial numbers of footpaths are being used as bridleway. And is there a process that lets that be sort of legalised, as it were? You know, is there a procedure where somebody could apply to have a footpath upgraded to a bridleway?
Yeah, we've got to put claims in, you use their evidence.
So I was going to say there have been conversations about potentially a project on Portland to address that concern, but we need it to be driven in order to look into any claims for upgrades.
Right.
Over 140 horses on Portland, I believe.
Sorry, Chris, I couldn't quite hear you.
There are over 140 horses on Portland.
Yes, there are. Yeah. Or
there's an issue with conflict on the coast path. Obviously, it's not Natural England's favoured coexistence of bridleway with footpath users. So there would be hurdles to overcome.
But if there's user evidence, they would have to allow it. You know.
Just saying. What I know.
I know what you're saying, Stuart, but that's where we've got to dig our heels in a bit and say, look, the evidence is there, the historic evidence is there. In law, they've got to be allowed. Okay.
We did have a further bridleway recorded at the start of this year as well on Portland, so we've increased the bridleway count by 1. So
50%.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Janet.
Susan, can you? I'm sure this is the case, but could you confirm it? If there are objections at a pre-order consultation to what a landowner wants to do, is it the case that Dorset Council won't proceed to make an order?
So I apologise. You're going. This is the the realm of knowledge regarding public path orders, which
all
is
right.
not the area that I'm most conversant in. So I'm unfortunately I can't answer that question for you.
Okay,
I do apologise.
Thank you.
Okay. Right, thank you. Any further questions? Otherwise, well, I'll thank you very much for standing in for Vanessa, and
Thank you for bearing with me.
Meeting in April. No, please, absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much indeed for a very good report. Thank you. Thank you. Moving on, we now come to item number 10.
No, 9.
9, sorry. I've got it. I've too much writing on my thing. Progress with the King Charles Way, Kingscote Pass. Response to be made to the Loworth and Kimmeridge.
Yeah, Paul and I made a site visit on an absolutely beautiful day. We went down to Loworth and looked at the proposals as far as the, well, I have to confess, we didn't actually walk down the cliff to the actual entrance to the Armies area, but we did make a site visit and put together a response, which we circulated to everybody for any further comments anybody had, and then Paul sent it into Natural England. So that went in, and it was one of the papers that Kirsty circulated for this meeting. At the July meeting, we had the report that about the Kimmeridge to Southaven bit, and we agreed that we would write to Natural England about that. But in actual fact, that's all been completely overtaken by events. But I did get a reply from them, which just said, I can confirm that the new signage and path furniture is in place, including the new steps for the rollback route at Houndstooth or the Kimmeridge to Southaven stretch. So that was really what I wrote to them about. But I also wrote to them, and this is the bit that has been overtaken by events, asking them what was happening about Lyme Regis to Rufus Castle, which Tim Hall at Natural England replied, with regards to the Lyme Regis to Rufus Castle stretch, we share your frustrations at the delays in being able to move forward. Then he goes on to say that we'd be hearing about the Lyme Regis to Hive Beach bit very soon, which we did. Then he goes on, this length had no objections, so it's not tied up with hearing the outcome of the inquest and determination needed for the remainder of the stretch. We hope this will allow us and Dorset Council to progress this at pace this year. So they did reply to me, and that's what he said. And then, of course, the final bullet point on item 9 is that we did get the Secretary of State's decision to approve the path between Lyme Regis and High Beach. And as we've already heard, Dorset Council are working hard on getting that ready.
That's good.
So there is progress, but we still got that missing bit between Hive Beach and Portland.
Okay. Right.
Paul. Which would include, I presume, the Abbotsbury.
That's the bit that's the problem, isn't it?
And we are now in a fairly ludicrous situation. I think it's 5 or 6 years has gone past since the public inquiry into the objections, to which we made an input, and it seems to have just gone off down into a black hole. And does anybody have any thoughts as to how it might be brought back? I mean, as I understand it, Penn's produced a report, which we don't know what it says, which went into the Secretary of State. And it then got blocked because of the Sweetman case and the general embargo on decisions that might be influenced by the Sweetman case. I say that was what, 3 years ago now. I mean, that he said no, isn't it? Because that is just about the only stretch in Dorset where the ECP is a substantial improvement on the existing southwest coast path alignment. But say it seems to have just gone up in smoke.
Well, it's gone into the legal ether. Lawyers are arguing minute details as far as I understand it. And Natural England want their case to be totally watertight so that it can pass the main complainants' legal teams, is how I understand it to be.
So there is underlying progress. It's not just in a pile and forgotten.
It's not forgotten. It is actively being pursued, but it's
pursued.
in the legal realm.
Okay.
Arguing over minor details, I believe.
I mean, I imagine that Natural England are particularly frustrated about this because we're going to end up with a situation where that is the only bit that hasn't been of the entire coast, not just the Dorset bit.
Of course, they have committed that it will be opened this financial year.
Yeah.
Indeed, that is when funding to open it is supposed to finish. So, yes, they would have liked to have seen it all done in one go, but as it looks, it is probably going to roll over into next year, in which case they've got to then seek funding to establish any remaining sections. So, yeah, not a situation Natural England want, but not in their hands to.
I don't know, is there anybody, I'm looking at Nicola, that we could write to and vent our frustration? I mean, we're just writing to poor old Tim Hall at Natural England. I don't think it's going to do any good.
I happen to be having lunch tomorrow with Pippa Langford.
Oh, really?
Ah.
Could mention it.
Yeah.
Ask her if she knows anything and if there is anybody. But it sounds like they're stuck if they're waiting for this jiggery pokery. I mean, you know, Natural England had their, well, it was the Countryside Agency, had their fingers badly burnt over open access and not getting all their ducks lined up before they ended up with loads of hearings. And they learned with coastal access from that, didn't they? So, or didn't we, since I was part of it at the time, but I guess they've been incredibly careful. But I know nothing more, but I can ask and see if I get anything back. So, yeah. But I presume that's what Tim Hall was going on about, his frustration.
Yeah. I'm sure they're equally fed up.
I mean, I think to just get formal confirmation, yes, Paynes did produce a report and he went to the Secretary of State. He's my understanding of where we are. And in that sense, the baby is with the Secretary of State.
And the Secretary of State's probably changed umpteen times.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So it's sitting with DEFRA, in effect.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the issue. Is it DEFRA we need to find a way of dynamising, or is it Natural England?
Well, I don't think it's Natural England.
No.
Reading this.
I mean, you know, from Natural England's point of view, they will want to meet that March deadline, and they also want to move their staff onto the next thing. They've got all their staff stuck in coastal access when they want them to be doing the mapping review.
Yeah.
And so they are not going to want to hold this up. They've been wanting to finish it for a long time. You know, the mapping review has been put off and put off. And so, I mean, I'm sure they're not going to hold it up.
Okay. Right. So we're now on to item 10. Member feedback from associated groups. Dorset National Landscape.
Yeah.
You've got a report.
Well, it's not really a report because I was unable to attend the last meeting of the partnership board, which was only last week. But the main item of discussion then was going to be their management plan for 2026 to 2031, on which we did submit comments. And the intention of that meeting last week, the main item on the agenda was going to be approving that. And I'm pretty sure that will have happened because it had gone through several different iterations, and everybody on the who goes along to the management board meetings, the partnership board meetings rather, had been given the opportunity to comment on it numerous times, and I understand they had a really good lot of comments in from the general public and other organisations, and it gave good coverage to rights of way and access issues. So I imagine that has gone ahead and has been approved.
So Cranbourne Chase National Landscape.
Well, amazingly, and I suspect this is to do with Graham, I don't know, but I've actually managed to get.
I asked Linda to give you a shout.
So I haven't been invited to any meetings, but I am going to the forum in January, and I have got an email update, which is effectively, it's retrospectively a retrospective of what they've been doing, and you know they do lots. So they, as people will know, or the national landscape, the Cranbourne National Landscape covers 3 counties, so Hampshire, Wiltshire, and Dorset, and so obviously how they're working is across the 3 counties. But I mean, when we go walking, I don't think we notice when we're crossing from one county to another. But so what she's saying is that they had a national lottery grant, a substantial one, which was for a period of 5 years, and they did quite a few projects under that. So in fact, 20 different projects, and one of them was Ancient Ways, which I suspect covers some of the route that was being discussed this morning, and so it was doing repairs on some of those longer routes. And I think again that's mainly outside the Dorset area, but some of it's within. But there was also quite a bit of training given on various walking and getting around type stuff. So map reading, devising new walks. They've set up walking festivals. They had over 100 events, and they ended up with 700 people on their volunteer portal. And some of those were working on the Ancient Ways, which was what made me think this morning that there might be a core of people. They've ended up with 60 new circular walks, and about half of those are within the Dorset area. They've still got most of it. It was a project about walking, but they still have over 12 cycle routes. So I'm presuming those will be bridleways. And then the other way that they were putting going into access was through the access to all grant monies, and again quite a bit of that has obviously gone into Wiltshire, Hampshire, but they have grant aided the Springhead Trust, which to my shame I've never heard of. So that is effectively an access for all project, and so the grant monies have finished for the lottery, but they're still managing to support those volunteers. But of course, supporting volunteers must be taking their time, and they're no longer funded for that. So hopefully they will be able to continue to do that. And they've got a walking festival coming up in May next year.
Can they do something to promote equestrian use, horse riding?
Well, I can go back and see what they're doing, but obviously this, like all lottery funding, it has its parameters. The lottery funding has now finished, so the parameters have finished. So yeah.
But when I see access for all funding,
yes,
Yeah.
I mean, some of the Access for All funding was things, so, I mean, things like composting toilets and hand washing facilities, you know, so not exactly access, but if you're disabled, then really necessary. And so, yeah, so things like, and classrooms, and also replacing stars with gates and bridges. So those, hopefully those bridges and those gates will be useful for people on horseback.
I'm just thinking ancient ways.
Yeah.
Horses have been ridden for a very long time.
Well, they will be, and they're mostly the drove roads, and so they will. Okay. That's why I say, I presume a lot of it is the drove roads and presumably the Wessex Ridgeway. So, but there are other drove roads, of course.
Okay. See what they come back with. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Nicola. Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to item.
Oh, can I just quickly say, on the local nature partnership, we haven't got a representative at present, but for some reason I seem to be on their mailing list. And just yesterday I received an email which had a link to their annual report, which I have to confess, since it only arrived yesterday, I haven't read, but I'll circulate it to everybody.
Thanks, Janet. Thank you. Right, we'll move on to item number 11, ratification of responses made since the last meeting. We've got the Dorset National Landscape Management Plan. Anybody want to make any comments on that? Second one is...
Well, you can't do anything about them because they're gone. They're gone. It's just to formally say that you know, this LAF agreed with them.
Yeah, so they've all gone in. So we'll take them on block, all three of them, and just note that they have gone in on our behalf. Thank you very much indeed, Janet. Thank you. Item number 12, responses to the LTP. Janet.
Well, again, this well, it was originally on the ratification list, but Chairman, you asked for the LTP to be something we could have a little bit of a discussion about.
I will tell you what struck me from it. Very difficult to submit a response on behalf of an organisation. In fact, it's impossible to make a meaningful response because you've got to say who you are, what age group, what sex you are, you know, and you skew the statistics and you can't say anything other than what they want you to say. And I think really they need to have a much more wide-ranging way of doing it other than multiple choice. Because
Chairman, I can just add that this is true of all of the, not so much the National Landscape Management Plan, but the Minerals and Waste Plan, the local plan and the LTP. We're all in the same online format, which, as you say, is impossible to answer on behalf of a group. I mean, you can't, there's a whole chunk of it that's all to do with diversity, which you can't answer if you're doing it on behalf of even a parish council can't do it. So they really, and I say this every time I do a response to one of these local authority consultations, is they start off by saying, are you replying on behalf of an individual or an organisation? So you tick the box for an organisation. Sometimes they ask you what the organisation is, but then they just go, it's the same survey. And I'm looking at the councillor here. It's the same survey, whether you're doing it on behalf of a parish council or this group or the Ramblers or whoever. And ticking a box to say whether you like it a lot, you like it a little bit, you don't like it at all. Unless you were all sitting in the room and you all put your hand up to say, yes, I like it a lot, and you took a vote, it's just impossible. So what I have done in all of the responses that I've coordinated for us as the LAF is really haven't done all those tick boxes, but just used the box at the end, which is free text, put all of your comments in there, and that's really all you can do.
I mean, I think the Dorset aren't very good at consultations. I don't know what it is.
No, they're not. I totally agree. We agree. We argue about it all the time. We send it back to comms and they send out exactly the same thing.
So how do we break the cycle?
Well, speaking out of turn, we are going through something called Your Future Council, which is a revamp of everything, and each department is being looked at and revamping with a view basically to saving money. But our new chief executive is quite hot on it, and so is Councillor Wilson. I will have a word with them. No promises.
I think I imagine that a lot of people who have tried to complete all these consultations in the last 3 or 4 months will have felt the same. And I saw it in the parish where I live on the Facebook page. The same comment was being made there. Even individuals find them difficult to do.
Especially when the first page is all about you. You know, how old are you? Are you disabled? Have you done this? Have you done that? You've got 3 pages of that before you even get to the meat of the issues. So a lot of people have told me that they've given up at that point. And one could be cynical and say, oh, good, that means we don't have to plough through so many consultation responses. You do wonder. No, of course, I didn't say that.
I did the local plan as an individual, and I was absolutely exhausted by the end of it, totally and utterly exhausted. And I didn't do all the bits that I wanted to do. I just couldn't. I couldn't face it all.
I think they do have a duty to collect Equality Act type information, but there's no reason why that couldn't be put at the end of the document.
To be fair, I think it was at the end.
It depends on, yes, but I know the local plan it was just maddening.
Gave a response to the 6 cycleways, which is the cycling corridors in Bournemouth, and they had all the list of the people who had responded, including the Vicar of Bournemouth or something, Christchurch. But they'd missed out British Horse Society, and I said, I sent you a response. Here it is, and your reply to it. But it was an email. And they said, oh, because you hadn't done the online one, although we took your response into consideration, and they ignored horse riders altogether on these routes by and large, apart from where they adopted bridleways for cycles. It wasn't included in the text of the document, which I think is wrong. Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the penultimate item. Any other business? Anything from anybody around the room? No. And finally, date of the next meeting, Tuesday, the 28th of April at 10 o'clock. Back here.
Yes, if that's all right, I've already booked the next meeting. All good. With Claire, just because rooms here are being booked up insanely early. So we thought we'd just crack on and get the next one booked.
Okay, all good.
I mean, I don't know, but I'd be willing to go and at least, as an interim, go to the local nature partnership if that was possible.
Please. Thank you. Thank you very much. Right, so I think we're meeting outside, aren't we? At 1 o'clock?
Yes, yeah. If those who are happy to have their photograph taken just a short distance away from here to do a comms piece for member recruitment. Right, yeah, so we'll either head up the big stairs and go back to the front, or walk around the outside of the building and meet you all at the front. Well, Rachel.
Okay. You are so human, so that
friendly.